Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We've just landed here at Swartz Bay on Vancouver Island, and we're going to drive on over to Victoria. And when we're in the capital, I'm thinking of coming up with a mighty fine political speech while I'm there. And then we'll head on northward up the coast toward the middle part of the island. We have taken the ferry across to Vancouver Island, to the southern part, in the Victoria area here. And we went out to a place called Souk, and then we came back along the coast, and we went northward along the eastern coast of the island, and not even part way up, before we turned and went west to the Pacific Ocean. But this video is just about coming into this area here. There are several good-sized small cities, good-sized communities in this area here. Here are some of the communities that we stopped at. Victoria, and then over to Souk, and then we went partway up the island to as far as Parksville in this video. Here is a quick scan of the harbour in Victoria, right downtown in the main area. And it's right where the legislative building for the government of British Columbia is located. And here is the famous totem pole with the legislative buildings in the background. And now let's take a look inside the legislative building. It is nice and polished and impressive. It has several stories, and I believe we had to walk up to the second story to see the council chambers and where the elected people sit and make laws, I guess, for the province. More pictures of the interior. That is an indigenous canoe in the main lobby, and the coat of arms for the province you can see in the distance there, and here's a close-up of them. This is another scan of the downtown harbour. Here is a peek at the Victoria waterfront. It is one of the nicest waterfronts in the world, or so regarded by many world travelers. There are two rides to take along the waterfront. One is a water taxi, like the one that you'll see in a minute. If you take a water taxi, you can go to your favorite watering hole. A ferry can take up to 12 passengers, and dogs are allowed. The narrow size can accommodate only collapsible wheelchairs, and passengers must be able to get out of their wheelchairs. The other ride to take, of course, is a horse and carriage around the streets around the harbour of the downtown. It is a very pleasant, and the horses are nice and tame and love to do their job. But we just could not miss Victoria's world-famous Bouchard Gardens, which is an official National Historic Site. You will never see a greater, more impressive array of flowers than here. There are 900 varieties of plants and 26 greenhouses that require a full-time staff of 50 workers. The gardens see 1 million visitors per year, and replants new flowers for the different seasons is held throughout the year. There was originally, it was a limestone rock quarry, an industrial operation that supplied rock to an expanding Victoria. When the limestone was pretty well all mined out, the owner's wife, Jenny Bouchard, developed the area into the magnificent gardens that we see today. The gardens are still run by the family after 3 or 4 generations. This area right here is one of the nicest areas in the gardens, and it is known as the Sunken Gardens. Over 65,000 bulbs are planted here every spring. The topsoil for the plants was hauled in by horse and wagon in early pioneer times. It is a great place to spend an afternoon. Here we are, back at the provincial legislative building. You know, I always wanted to make a great political speech, and I am moved to do so right now. There's a couple of things you need to know in order to understand my political speech of a generation. First, this animal here is described as an ass, A-S-S, even in the Bible. Second, camels are not just animals. Camels was also the name of a popular cigarette brand back in the days when smoking was more common than now. So here we are at the beautiful legislative building in Victoria, British Columbia. Here it is, the world's greatest political speech. 2,000 years ago, Moses told the children of Israel, "Pick up your shovels, saddle up your asses, mount your camels, and I will lead you to the promised land." Today, these politicians are stealing our shovels, kicking our asses, raising the price of camels, and ruining the promised land. But have faith, my brothers and sisters, for I say unto you, throw down your shovels, sit on your asses, light up a camel. This is the promised land. Enough of politics. We drove along the coast a half hour or so to the community of Souk. It always pays to stop in at the Tourist Information Center and the local museum. You will learn a whole lot more about that community. We stayed at the local campground, and they had these nice tall statues. Souk is in a mountainous area that supplies water to Victoria. The laying of a big water pipeline in the early days to Victoria was a lifesaver for the city. A big tourist attraction are the potholes, a series of rapid gushing water reservoirs in a small creek or river that was in full spring flood when we were there. I think later in the year people climb down for a swim in some of these potholes. But the water was roaring. We left Victoria and are now driving northward along the east coast of the island. The high elevation area here is called the Malahat, and it is quite an outdoor tourist recreation area. First place we stopped at was Chemanus, a former lumbering area now converted to tourism. This is a historic photo of the area. Most men who walked on the floating logs and moved them around could not swim, but I guess they seldom fell off into the water. This is a mural of the workers. As lumbering declined, Chemanus, like many communities, experienced a decline in the economy. What could ever replace the once thriving lumber era? In the down time, some communities expressed their love of the good old days, their proud history, through wall paintings on the sides of buildings. Chemanus is one such place. Just walk around the town. There are many interesting wall paintings to see, and it is a tourist attraction today. This mural depicts Chinese workers who worked in the lumber and fishing industries, and they originally came from California, Hong Kong, and Canton in China to seek their fortunes in the gold mines on the mainland. Under British law that supported all minorities in Canada, they were accepted and treated far more fairly than when they had worked the gold mines in California. This water wheel was an attraction for everybody in the central area of the town. Another town we stayed at a few days was Parksville, just up the coast. It was another tourist retirement area. We stayed at the big provincial park there, Rath Trevor Beach. We stayed in the big campground there, and they have even a bigger bay and beach area where the tides come in and out, leaving a great place to search for clams and other sea things left behind when the tide goes out. They have a nice walking path along the beach there, and you can walk or bicycle it, but it's fairly crowded with people. You can see what the beach is like here. They've got some rabbits there, but the rabbits are digging up quite a few holes in the ground, so that's a kind of a concern. I took a picture of this flicker here, and we were next on the road up the coast to Qualicum Falls. It's a very nice waterfall area. I've seen so many waterfalls I tend to get them mixed up. Not too far away is another nice waterfall area, the Englishman River Falls. There are a few cougars or mountain lions in the area, but people almost everywhere, so they are seldom seen. A cougar has small lungs and can run for a short burst, but it cannot keep up the pace. They will climb a tree and lay on a branch overhead for even a few days, waiting for an unsuspecting deer to come by along the trail, then pounce down on it. A pack of dogs soon causes a cougar to climb a tree for safety, which then makes it an easy target for a hunter or conservation officer. The general rule of thumb is, if you see a bear, back away slowly and avoid eye contact. Not so with a cougar. Stand big, make threatening noise. You are the mouse, and it is the cat. If it attacks, you are in a desperate situation. Try to ram your arm down its throat. Remember, they have small lungs and run out of breath quickly. Anyway, I will leave you with that to dream about tonight. Keeping your dog on a leash is not just to keep it from getting lost. All animals have to eat. And here is the waterfall. Just being able to see and hear clear flowing water like this is great. Pathways in these areas are well fenced to keep you safe, and the moss that accumulates on the forest floor is just really a tremendous thing. These big trees have shallow roots, making it easier for the wind to blow them down, and that can be a very dangerous thing when you're walking through the forest. You can see where erosion can quickly occur on these steep slopes. Both water and human footprints do the damage, so stay on the trail. Reforestation of the banks is being attempted here, and you can see the plants are making a comeback. The foliage seems to start with ferns initially. We drove up the coast and then turned inland toward Port Alberni. At the junction where we turned, there is a small community called Coombs that has become quite a tourist attraction. There are several good eating places, from hamburgers to more quality dining out places, ice cream shops, and even various clothes and other items. There's also a nice big bookstore in the area. There was quite a large display of these various statues, I guess to put on your lawn or in front of your house, and so we enjoyed walking through the one of the areas, just looking at them. They were quite different. They were quite unique, and yeah, they were all part of Coombs on Vancouver Island in BC. But here was really the big attraction, goats on the roof. The grass was green and juicy, and the goats spent all summer on the rooftops. We were a little early in the season, so we walked to the back of the buildings to see the goats. And they were there. All right, we'll leave Coombs here and head inland toward Port Alberni. If you liked what you saw and you want to see when we're putting some more videos on, including the one of Port Alberni and later on at Tofino, hit the subscribe button and it'll notify you when we're coming back. All right, let's head for Port Alberni.